My parents didn't skip my Yale graduation. They ghosted it. The text came at 6:14 a.m., blue screen glow in my dark dorm room, Dad's contact name flashing. Not coming. You don't deserve any help. You never did. We're supporting people who appreciate us. No explanation, no apology. 4 years erased in 47 characters. By 10 a.m., I walked across Old Campus alone. 2 empty seats. Row 3, Woolsey Hall. Reserved. Unclaimed. Cold wood under May sunlight. Around me, 1,285 families screamed names. Behind me, silence where mine should have been. I didn't post it. My roommate's father did those empty chairs with reserved signs still attached. My face when I saw them vacant. 2.1 million views by sunset. Dad's law firm partners saw it. Mom's garden club. Every family friend who'd watched me make it without them. Then their phones started ringing. The email arrived at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in April. I was hunched over my laptop in the community college library, surrounded by classmates who'd spent the night cramming for finals. My phone buzzed, then buzzed again, then wouldn't stop. Congratulations, Elena Vasquez. Yale University is pleased to offer you admission with a full merit scholarship covering tuition, room, and board, $312,000 over 4 years. I read it 7 times before my hands stopped shaking. 4 years of 90-hour weeks. 4 years of choosing between textbooks and groceries. 4 years of professors who said, "You're not Yale material," and classmates who said, "Why even try?" All of it. Validated in 1 paragraph. I called my parents before I'd even finished reading. "Mom? I got into Yale." Full ride. Silence stretched across the line. Not the stunned, happy kind. The cold kind. "That's nice, Elena." Her voice was flat, distracted. "Your father's on a call. We'll talk later." "But Mom, it's Yale. Full scholarship. I won't need any money from you. I said we'll talk later." A pause. "Don't get your hopes up about graduation, though. We'll see." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, the acceptance email still glowing on my laptop screen. Around me, students celebrated their own victories, hugs, tears, FaceTime calls with screaming parents. I sat alone, watching my reflection in the black mirror of my phone. "We'll see about graduation." The words didn't make sense yet. They would later. That same afternoon, my brother Marcus called. 27 years old, living in our parents' basement, on his 4th failed business venture. His voice boomed through the speaker. "Hey sis, heard you got into some college." "Yale," I said quietly. "With a full scholarship." "Cool, cool." He didn't sound impressed. "Listen, I've got news too. I'm starting a new company, logistics consulting. Mom and Dad are investing. We're doing a family dinner Saturday to celebrate." I gripped the phone tighter. "How much are they investing?" $67,000 to start. They believe in me, you know? Family supporting family. $67,000. I'd asked them for $500 my senior year of high school to cover AP exam fees. Mom had said we couldn't afford it. I'd worked double shifts at the grocery store for 3 months to pay for those exams myself. "That's great, Marcus," I heard myself say. "Really great." After we hung up, I sat in my car in the parking lot and cried for 20 minutes. Then I wiped my face, drove to my evening shift at the campus bookstore, and started planning how I'd survive Yale completely alone. I should have recognized the pattern then. I'd been living it my whole life. When I was 10, Mom had knelt beside my bed one night, smoothing my hair back. I'd just won the county spelling bee first place, a trophy taller than my arm. "You're going to do such big things, Mija," she'd whispered. "And when you do, we'll be right there cheering for you. Front row. Always." I'd believed her. That belief carried me through middle school honor rolls and high school valedictorian speeches, through scholarship applications and college essays written at 2 a.m. between shifts. Through every moment I'd chosen, studying over sleeping, working over resting, succeeding over surviving. The Yale acceptance should have been the culmination, the moment Mom's promise came true. Instead, it was the beginning of understanding that some promises were only ever words. The celebration dinner for Marcus happened that Saturday. I wasn't invited. I saw the photos on Facebook later, Mom and Dad flanking Marcus. Champagne glasses raised. A banner reading, "Congratulations, Marcus," stretched across the dining room. I'd texted Mom that morning. "Can I come to dinner? Want to tell you more about Yale." She'd responded 3 hours later. "Tonight's about your brother. Don't make everything about you." I turned off my phone and worked a double shift instead. Our family had always been a mathematics equation that didn't balance. Robert and Linda Vasquez, 2 children, one golden, one invisible. Marcus was born first 7 pounds, 9 ounces of potential wrapped in blue blankets. I came 3 years later, unexpected and unplanned. Mom told me once, during an argument, that they'd been done having kids, that I'd been a surprise. She said it like surprise meant mistake. The pattern established itself early. When Marcus was 8, he wanted to play baseball. Dad bought him a $200 bat, cleats, a glove broken in by a former minor league player. Marcus quit after 6 weeks. The equipment gathered dust in the garage. When I was 8, I wanted to take violin lessons. The school offered them for $50 a semester. Mom said we couldn't afford it. I watched other kids carry instrument cases home while I carried library books instead. When Marcus was 13, he failed algebra twice. Dad hired a private tutor at $75 an hour, 3 times a week. Marcus barely passed. When I was 13, I had straight A's and perfect attendance. No one mentioned it at dinner. When I brought home my report card, Mom glanced at it and said, "Good, that's what we expect." Expectations for me. Investments for him. By high school, I'd learned to stop expecting anything. I graduated valedictorian 4 gigapascals, National Honor Society president, 12 AP classes, 1,700 on my SAT. The ceremony was held on a Tuesday evening. Mom had to work late. Dad said he had an important meeting. Marcus didn't show up because high school graduations are boring. I accepted my diploma alone, gave my valedictory speech to a crowd where no one cheered for me, and drove myself home afterward. The house was dark. I found a note on the kitchen counter. "Congrats. Pizza money in the jar. $20. For 4 years of perfect grades." Marcus's community college graduation, where he'd earned a 2.3 gigapascals in general studies, had been a catered backyard party with 40 guests. The pattern was clear. I just kept pretending I couldn't see it. Yale changed nothing except geography. Freshman year, I worked 3 jobs, campus bookstore, weekend library shifts, tutoring underclassmen. I sent weekly emails home, photos of my dorm, stories from classes, articles I'd published in the Yale Daily News. Mom responded to maybe 1 in 5. Dad never responded at all. Sophomore year, Marcus's second business failed. He'd opened a food truck that lasted 4 months. Mom and Dad lost $28,000. They never mentioned it except when Mom called me once, late at night, clearly drunk. "You don't understand family pressure, Elena. You just go to your fancy school and judge us." I'd been studying for midterms on 4 hours of sleep. My bank account sitting at $32 until my next paycheck. "I'm not judging anyone, Mom. You think you're better than us now, Miss Yale. Too good for family." She'd hung up before I could respond. Junior year, I made Dean's List both semesters. I'd sent the certificates home. They never acknowledged them. That same year, Marcus moved back home after his third business, a drop-shipping company, dissolved. Mom redecorated his room as a welcome home surprise. Senior year arrived like a finish line in the desert, shimmering, almost real, possibly a mirage. I'd survived on scholarships, work-study income, and a meal plan I supplemented with ramen. I graduated with 0 debt and a job offer from Goldman Sachs starting that fall. I'd done it entirely alone. In early May, I sent the graduation ceremony details to my parents. 3 emails, 5 text messages, 2 voicemails. May 21st, 10 a.m. Woolsey Hall. I reserved seats for you. Row 3. Center section. Please let me know if you're coming. I really want you there. Mom responded once. We'll see. Dad never responded at all. I told myself, we'll see, meant yes. That after 4 years, after proving myself at Yale, after doing the impossible without their help, they'd finally show up. I ordered cap and gown. I bought them printed tickets. I handwrote a note. This is the biggest day of my life. I slipped it in the envelope with the tickets and mailed it 2 weeks before graduation. The envelope came back 3 days later, unopened. Returned to sender. Graduation morning arrived with the kind of sunlight that promises perfect memories. I woke at 5:30 a.m. in my dorm room, cap and gown hanging on the closet door like a blue ghost. My roommate Jessica was still asleep, her parents arriving at 8. I'd met them twice, warm people who asked questions about my classes and remembered my name. I showered, applied makeup carefully, straightened my hair, put on the white dress I'd bought with tip money from my bookstore job. My phone buzzed at 6:14 a.m. Dad's name lit up the screen. My heart jumped. They were coming. They were texting to say they'd left early, that they were already on the road, that, not coming, you don't deserve any help. You never did. We're supporting people who appreciate us. 47 characters, 4 years of Yale, 22 years of being their daughter, erased in one text message. My hands started shaking. I read it again, then 7 more times, each word carving itself deeper into my chest. I called Dad back, straight to voicemail. Called Mom. Blocked. Called Marcus. No answer. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone clutched in trembling fingers, trying to breathe through the cotton filling my throat. Jessica stirred awake, saw my face. Elena? What's wrong? I handed her my phone, watched her eyes scan the message, watched her face collapse into fury. What the fuck? She whispered. What the actual fuck? They're not coming. Elena, they're not coming. My voice cracked. It's graduation. The biggest day of my life. And they're not coming. Jessica grabbed my shoulders. Then, screw them. My parents are bringing 4 extra tickets. You'll sit with us. You'll celebrate with people who actually care about. I reserved seats for them. The words came out hollow. Row 3, center section, with signs that say reserved, Vasquez family. I should remove the signs. I should tell the ceremony coordinators. I should accept that no one was coming for me. Instead, I finished getting ready, went through the motions, and walked to Old Campus with Jessica and her family, like a ghost in Yale blue. Woolsey Hall rose ahead like a cathedral. Families poured through the entrance, parents with cameras, grandparents with flowers, siblings with congratulations signs. The air smelled like expensive perfume and sunscreen and joy. I found my spot in the graduate lineup. Around me, classmates took selfies with their families, straightened each other's caps, cried happy tears. I stood alone, checking my phone every 30 seconds for a message that never came. The processional began at 9:58 a.m. We filed into Woolsey Hall beneath soaring ceilings and stained glass. 1,200 graduating seniors. I searched the crowd as I walked. Row 3, center section, 2 empty seats. The wooden chairs sat vacant, reserved Vasquez family signs, still taped to the backs. Around them, every other seat held parents, mothers crying, fathers filming, families waving. My seats, empty. I took my place among the graduates, staring at those 2 chairs while everyone else stared at loved ones. The ceremony started speeches about achievement, about gratitude, about family support making this moment possible. Behind me, 1,285 families cheered their children's names. Behind me, where my family should have been, silence. When they called my name, Elena Marie Vasquez, summa cum laude, I walked across that stage, hearing only my own footsteps echoing. The dean handed me my diploma. I shook his hand. I smiled for a photographer who captured exactly how alone I was. I walked back to my seat past those empty chairs and realized I was crying. After the ceremony, Jessica's parents hugged me, took photos, told me they were proud. I smiled and thanked them, and felt completely numb. My phone buzzed at 11:47 a.m. Not my parents. Jessica's mom, her voice tight. Elena, honey. I think you need to see this. She handed me her phone, Instagram, Marcus's account, a photo from 1 hour ago. Marcus, Mom, and Dad sitting in a New Haven restaurant, The Anchor, 10 minutes from campus. Champagne glasses raised. Caption: Celebrating Marcus's new business launch with family. Cheers to new beginnings. The location tag read, New Haven, CT. The timestamp, 10:23 a.m. Exactly when I'd walked across that stage. They hadn't missed my graduation because they couldn't come. They'd been in town, 10 minutes away, celebrating Marcus. While I graduated alone, Jessica's mom wouldn't stop apologizing. I'm so sorry, honey. I didn't know if I should show you, but you deserve to know the truth. I stared at Marcus's Instagram post. My parents, my brother, champagne, 10 minutes from Woolsey Hall. Posted at 10:23 a.m., exactly when Dean Morrison had called my name. Can I see your phone again? My voice didn't sound like mine. She handed it over. I screenshot the post, checked the location tag. The Anchor Restaurant, Chapel Street. I knew that place. I'd walked past it 100 times. I zoomed in on the photo. Mom's smile. Dad's raised glass. The restaurant's window behind them. Sunlight streaming through. Sunlight. Morning sunlight. Not afternoon, not evening. They'd been there during my ceremony. Elena? Jessica gripped my arm. What are you thinking? They said they weren't coming. They texted me at 6:14 this morning. Not coming. Right. But they were already in New Haven. The words came slowly, puzzle pieces clicking together. They didn't decide not to come this morning. They planned this. They drove here, got a hotel probably, and chose to celebrate Marcus instead. Jessica's face went white. Oh my God. I scrolled through Marcus's Instagram, going back weeks. There 3 weeks ago. A post about big plans and family support. Another 2 weeks ago. Major announcement coming soon. Last week. New Haven, here we come. They'd been planning this for weeks. While I'd been sending them ceremony details. While I'd been calling, texting, begging them to confirm. They'd been planning to ghost me for my brother. I need to make a call. I handed the phone back and pulled out mine. I called Mom. Still blocked. I called Dad. Voicemail. I called Marcus. It rang 4 times. Then his voice, bright and cheerful. Hey sis, congrats on the graduation thing. The graduation thing. Where are you, Marcus? What? I'm at Y. Where? R. U. A pause. Background noise plates clinking. Conversation. Restaurant acoustics. I'm having brunch. Why are you being weird? With Mom and Dad? In New Haven? 10 minutes from my graduation ceremony? Silence. Marcus, I saw the Instagram post. Look, Elena. This isn't about you. This is about my business launch. And you're in the same city as my Yale graduation, and you're saying it's not about me? Mom and Dad wanted to support me for once. You always get all the attention with your perfect grades and your fancy scholarship. I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound startled even me. I get the attention? Marcus, they've given you over $100,000 for failed businesses. They didn't give me a single cent for college. Not one. Yeah, well, you got a scholarship. You didn't need help. I needed help. I worked 3 jobs. I lived on ramen. I graduated with honors while you dropped out with a 2.3 gigapascals. And somehow I'm the one who doesn't deserve help? You know what? You're just jealous. You always have been. His voice turned cold. Mom and Dad chose to be here for me. Deal with it. He hung up. I stood in the middle of old campus, graduates and families flowing around me like water around a stone. Jessica's parents hovered nearby, uncertain what to do. Something cold settled in my chest. Not hurt anymore. Something else. Clarity. This wasn't about graduation. This was bigger. This was years of something I'd been too close to see. I opened my banking app, checked my credit score out of habit, something I did weekly to track my financial aid refunds. I blinked, refreshed. That couldn't be right. I'd never had a credit card, never missed a payment on anything. I'd checked 3 months ago, and it had been $720, good enough for my first apartment lease in the fall. What happened in 3 months? Jessica, I said slowly, can I borrow your laptop? 20 minutes later, in her dorm room, I pulled up my full credit report. 3 accounts I'd never opened. Capital One Visa. Opened 8 months ago. Balance, $8,450. Chase Sapphire. Opened 6 months ago. Balance, $12,200. Discover Card. Opened 4 months ago. Balance, $13,550. Total, $34,200 in debt I didn't know I had. My hands started shaking. I clicked on the Capital One account first. My fingers felt numb. Account opened, September 18th, 8 months ago. Early fall semester, junior year. I scrolled through the transaction history. The charges loaded slowly, each line appearing like evidence at a crime scene. September 22nd. Herman's Hardware Supply, Houston TX, $3,200. September 29th. Office Depot, Houston TX, $1,450. October 8th. U-Haul Rental, Houston TX, $890. October 15th. Downtown Warehouse Lease Deposit, Houston TX, $2,910. Houston, where my parents lived, where Marcus lived. My stomach dropped. I clicked Account Details. Primary cardholder name, Elena Vasquez. My name, my social security number, my date of birth. But I'd never applied for this card. I'd never even been to a Herman's Hardware Supply. I opened the Chase account. Same story. Opened January 12th, 6 months ago. Winter break, senior year. When I'd been home for exactly 4 days before flying back early because something came up with my work-study job. Something came up. I'd needed to escape the tension in that house. While I was there for those 4 days, someone had applied for a credit card in my name. The charges on Chase told another story. January 15th. Business cards and more, $2,100. January 20th. Marketing Solutions LLC. February 3rd. Web Design Pro, $5,300. Every single charge related to business expenses. Marcus's business expenses. My vision blurred. I refreshed the page, hoping the numbers would change. They didn't. Elena? Jessica appeared in the doorway with 2 coffees. I brought caffeine. You look like you need, oh my God. What's wrong? I turned the laptop toward her. Watched her eyes scan the screen. Watched comprehension dawn. That's, someone opened credit cards in your name. My parents. The words tasted like metal. Look at the addresses. Look at the charges. It's all Marcus's business. Jessica leaned closer, scrolling through the transactions. Her face went from concerned to furious in seconds. Elena, this is identity theft. This is fraud. This is why they didn't come to graduation. The realization hit me like cold water. They couldn't face me. I pulled up the Discover account. Opened February 28th. Balance, $13,550. The primary applicant's signature was required for accounts over $10,000. I clicked View Application Documents. A PDF loaded. A credit card application. My name typed across the top. My social security number filled in. My Yale address listed. And at the bottom, a signature. Not my signature. Close, but not quite right. The E in Elena was wrong, too looped. The V in Vasquez slanted the wrong direction. Someone had forged my signature. I zoomed in on the cosigner line. Linda Marie Vasquez. My mother's legal name, in her handwriting. Right there. Scanned and uploaded. She signed it, I whispered. My mom co-signed using my forged signature. Jessica grabbed my shoulder. Elena, you need to call the police. Right now. This is a crime. Wait. I pulled up my bank account, the one I'd had since freshman year. Checked the email associated with it. 47 unread emails from Capital One. 32 from Chase. 29 from Discover. All marked as spam. All filtered automatically. Someone had set up email filters on my account. I checked the filter rules. Created September 15th, 3 days before the first card was opened. The rule: any email from Capital One, Chase, or Discover automatically marked as spam and archived. I'd never seen the statements, the payment reminders, the fraud alerts. Someone had made sure I wouldn't. I clicked through to my email security settings. Recent login activity. September 14th. Login from Houston, Texas. IP address: 172.18.45.92. I Googled the IP address. It traced to a Houston residential area. I pulled up Google Maps. The exact street where my parents lived. They hacked my email. My voice shook. They set up filters so I wouldn't see the credit card statements. They've been doing this for 8 months, and they made sure I'd never know. Jessica sank onto the bed beside me. The graduation. The text this morning. Elena, they ghosted you because they knew you'd eventually find out. They were avoiding you. I thought about Mom's texts over the past few months. The way she'd stopped asking about my classes. The way Dad had stopped returning calls. Marcus's sudden activity on social media, flaunting his new business. They'd been using my credit, my identity, my future, to fund my brother's 4th failed venture. 8 months of fraud, $34,200 in stolen credit, and they'd planned to disappear today, to ghost my graduation, so they wouldn't have to look me in the eye. I pulled up the Capital One statement again. The most recent charge, May 20th, yesterday, the day before graduation. The Anchor Restaurant, New Haven, $340. They'd used my stolen credit card to pay for the brunch celebrating Marcus. While I graduated alone, they'd charged their betrayal to my account. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat on Jessica's floor with my laptop, 3 credit reports printed out, and a timeline I was constructing on a legal pad. Every phone call, every text, every family emergency over the past 2 years. The pattern emerged like a photograph developing in a dark room. Slowly, then all at once, impossible to unsee. September 15th, 18 months ago. Fall semester, junior year. Mom had called me at 11 p.m., crying. Elena, your grandmother had a fall. We need to put her in assisted living. It's $4,200 for the deposit. We're struggling. I'm so sorry to ask. But could you help? I'd been horrified, scared for Grandma. I'd said yes immediately, promised to figure it out, even though I had $340 in my bank account. No, Mom had said quickly. Don't send money. Just, could I use your information for a payment plan? They need good credit for approval. Just as a co-signer. We'll make all the payments. I'd given her my social security number over the phone, my birth date, my address. Thank you, Mija. You're saving us. I'll send you the paperwork to sign. The paperwork never came. I'd followed up twice. Mom said the facility had changed their policy. They didn't need it anymore. Everything was handled. 3 days later, Capital One Visa had been opened in my name. Grandma had never fallen. I'd called her in October to check on her. She'd been confused. Assisted living? Elena, I'm fine. I'm still in my house. Who told you that? I'd thought it was a miscommunication, a misunderstanding. It had been a lie, the first of many. December 10th, 15 months ago. Dad had called during finals week. Elena, I need your help with something. Your mother's having surgery. Insurance doesn't cover all of it. Can I add you as an authorized user on a medical payment plan? Just for credit purposes. We'll handle all payments. I'd been studying for an economics final. Exhausted. Worried about Mom. What surgery? Is she okay? Minor procedure. She didn't want to worry you. I just need your information for the hospital billing. I'd given it to him. Social security number. Birth date. Yale address. Chase Sapphire had been opened 6 days later. Mom had never had surgery. She'd posted photos from a Christmas party 2 weeks later, healthy and smiling. Another lie. January 28th, 14 months ago. Marcus had texted me. Rare for him to reach out directly. Hey sis, emergency. My business needs a credit reference for a vendor contract. Can I list you? They just verify you exist. Won't affect you at all. Please? This is make or break for me. I'd hesitated. Asked questions. It's just a reference. They call, you confirm we're related. That's it. 5-minute phone call. You'd really be helping me out. I'd agreed. Given him my information. Discover card. Opened February 28th. $13,550 charged before I knew it existed. 3 lies, 3 cards. 18 months of systematic fraud. I kept reading through my emails, now that I'd deleted the spam filters. The folders were full of warnings I'd never seen. April 3rd, Capital One fraud alert. Unusual activity detected. $2,800 charge at Houston Equipment Rental. April 17th. Chase Security. Large purchase flagged. $4,200 at Business Marketing Solutions. May 1st, Discover collections notice. Your account is 60 days past due. Total balance, $13,550. Immediate payment required. Collections. They'd stopped making payments 2 months ago. My credit score had been obliterated while I'd been preparing for graduation, completely unaware. I pulled up my phone records, cross-referenced every family call over 18 months. 23 calls from my parents during junior and senior year. I'd thought they were finally checking in, finally caring. Each call had come within 72 hours of a new credit inquiry. They'd only called when they needed something from me. The graduation ceremony suddenly made perfect sense. They hadn't ghosted me because they didn't care. They'd ghosted me because they knew I'd eventually check my credit for my post-graduation apartment lease. They knew I'd discover what they'd done. They'd chosen to disappear before I could confront them. The text at 6:14 a.m., "You don't deserve any help. You never did," wasn't cruelty, it was preemptive defense. They were cutting me off before I could cut them off. But they'd made one mistake. They'd celebrated Marcus in New Haven. They'd gotten comfortable. They'd posted on Instagram, time-stamped and geotagged, proving they were in town. And they'd used my stolen credit card to pay for the betrayal. By 6 a.m., I had a complete timeline. 18 months of fraud. Every lie documented. Every charge categorized. Every phone call dated. Jessica woke up, found me surrounded by papers. "Did you sleep at all?" "No." I looked up at her. "But I know everything now. Every lie, every charge, every time they called pretending to care." "What are you going to do?" I thought about the empty chairs at graduation, the text message, the Instagram post, Marcus's voice saying, "Deal with it." I'm going to deal with it. I picked up my phone. But first, I need to talk to someone who can help me make this legal. Professor Margaret Chen's office smelled like jasmine tea and old books. I'd emailed her at 7 a.m. "Emergency. Need advice. Can we meet?" She'd responded in 10 minutes. My office, 9 a.m. I'll clear my morning. Now I sat across from her. My laptop open to the credit reports. My timeline spread across her desk like evidence at a trial. She read in silence for 5 minutes. Then looked up at me. "Elena." Her voice was carefully controlled. "This isn't family drama. This is federal wire fraud." The words hit me like validation I didn't know I needed. "You're sure?" My voice came out small. I mean, they're my parents. Maybe it's just. There is no just here. Professor Chen leaned forward, her economist's precision cutting through my uncertainty. Identity theft, forged signatures, email hacking to conceal evidence. 18 months of systematic fraud totaling over $30,000. This is serious criminal activity. But their family. Family doesn't make fraud legal, Elena. It makes it worse. She tapped the timeline I'd created. You documented this beautifully. Every lie. Every charge. This is prosecutable. I felt something in my chest loosen. Someone believed me. Someone with authority, with credentials, with no reason to lie. What do I do? I asked. First, you document everything which you've already started. Second, you freeze your credit immediately so they can't open more accounts. Third, you talk to a lawyer. She pulled out her phone. My wife is an attorney, criminal defense, but she knows people in fraud cases. Can I call her? Right now? Right now. She was already dialing. Elena, your instinct to investigate was correct. Your timeline proves premeditation. They planned this. They executed it systematically. And they ghosted your graduation because they knew you'd discover it soon. The phone rang twice. A voice answered. Sarah? It's Margaret. I have a student here. Identity theft case. Parental fraud. She needs a referral. Yes, it's that serious. 18 months. 34,000. No, the parents. Can you come to campus? Professor Chen looked at me while listening. She's coming. 1 hour. After she hung up, Professor Chen made tea, handed me a cup. How are you holding up? She asked. I don't know. Steam rose between us. Yesterday, I graduated from Yale. Today, I'm filing fraud charges against my parents. It doesn't feel real. It's real. Her voice softened. Elena, I wrote your scholarship recommendation 3 years ago. Do you know what I said in it? I shook my head. I said you were the most resilient student I'd ever taught, that you'd overcome obstacles most people couldn't imagine, that Yale would be lucky to have you. She paused. I didn't know the half of it. I didn't want anyone to know, I whispered. About my family. About the struggles. I just wanted to be normal. You wanted to be successful despite them, and you are. She set down her tea. But Elena, what they did, you can't ignore it. They stole your identity. They destroyed your credit. They committed crimes. If you don't stop them now, they'll do it again. I know. The words came out steady. Certain. I'm going to stop them. I just needed to know I wasn't crazy for thinking this was wrong. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. And you're not alone. Professor Chen smiled, sad but determined. We're going to help you make this right. When her wife arrived an hour later, I told the story again. Sarah Morrison listened, took notes, and then said the words that changed everything. Elena, we're going to bury them in evidence. And then we're going to make sure they never do this to anyone again. For the first time since 6:14 a.m. yesterday morning, I felt something other than hurt. I felt ready. Sarah Morrison's office was downtown, glass and steel, with a view of New Haven Harbor I couldn't afford to appreciate. 3 days had passed since graduation. 3 days of document gathering, credit freezes, and sleepless nights. Now I sat across from Sarah at a mahogany table, my evidence spread between us like a case file. Because that's what it was. A case. Sarah finished reading my timeline. Set it down carefully. This is one of the clearest cases of identity theft I've seen in 15 years of practice. She looked at me directly. Elena, what they did falls under multiple federal statutes. Title 18, U.S. Code. Section 1028 Identity Theft. Section 1343 Wire Fraud. This isn't a gray area. What are my options? I asked. She pulled out a legal pad. Started listing. Option 1. Criminal charges. You file a police report. They investigate. The DA decides whether to prosecute. If they do, your parents could face federal charges. Wire fraud carries up to 20 years. Identity theft, 15 years. In reality, first-time offenders usually get plea deals, maybe 18 months to 3 years, plus restitution and probation. My stomach clenched. Prison. My parents in prison. Option 2. Civil lawsuit. You sue them for damages the $34,000, plus emotional distress, legal fees. This is slower, takes 18 to 24 months, but you maintain more control. They'd owe you money, probably double or triple damages for fraud. What about both? I heard myself ask. Sarah smiled. Not happy. Approving. That's option 3. Criminal prosecution plus civil suit. The criminal case establishes guilt. The civil case gets you paid. And it sends a message you're not backing down. What's the timeline on all this? I thought about my Goldman Sachs job starting in August, my apartment lease, my life that was supposed to be starting. Criminal investigation takes several months. If they charge, pre-trial could be another 6 to 8 months. Civil lawsuit runs parallel depositions, discovery, maybe mediation. Total process, figure a year to 18 months before everything's resolved. A year, at minimum. What will it cost me? For criminal, nothing directly the DA prosecutes. For civil, I can do contingency basis. I take 30% of whatever we recover. No upfront costs. Sarah paused. But Elena, I need you to understand something. This will get ugly. Your family will hire lawyers. They'll try to claim it was a misunderstanding, that you gave permission, that it's a family matter. They'll make you the villain. Let them. The words surprised me with their certainty. I have proof. 18 months of documented fraud, forged signatures, hacked emails. I'm not the villain here. Sarah studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, let's talk evidence. What do you have? I pulled out my folder. 3 credit reports showing unauthorized accounts, bank statements with charges I never made, forged application documents with my mother's signature as cosigner, email filters proving they hacked my account, phone records showing their calls coincided with credit inquiries, Instagram posts proving they were in New Haven during my graduation. Jesus, Sarah breathed. You documented everything. I'm an economics major. I almost smiled. I know how to build a data case. This is beyond data. This is prosecutable evidence. She made notes. Here's what happens next. You file a police report today if possible. That starts the criminal investigation. I'll file a civil complaint within the week. We'll request a restraining order given the ongoing fraud. And Elena, are you prepared for your family to know you're coming after them legally? I thought about the empty chairs, the text message, Marcus's voice. Deal with it. Yes, I said. I'm prepared. The New Haven Police Department was colder than I expected. Detective James Martinez met me in a small interview room, beige walls, metal table, that distinctive police station smell of coffee and industrial cleaner. Miss Vasquez? He shook my hand, sat across from me. You're here to report identity theft? Yes. I set my folder on the table. By my parents. $34,000 over 18 months. His eyebrows rose slightly. Your parents? My parents. For the next hour, I walked him through everything. He took notes, asked questions, examined the documents I'd brought, forged credit applications, bank statements, email filters, phone records, the Instagram post proving they'd been in New Haven. This is... He paused, choosing words carefully. This is one of the most thoroughly documented fraud cases I've seen. Most victims don't realize what's happening until it's too late to gather this kind of evidence. I'm an economics major, I said for the second time that week. Documentation is what I do. He almost smiled. Well, it's about to pay off. Based on what you're showing me, we have grounds for a federal investigation. The amounts exceed state limits. There's interstate wire fraud, and the email hacking adds cybercrime elements. Federal investigation. The words felt too big for the small room. What happens now? I asked. I file this report case number NH20254471. It goes to the fraud division. They'll contact the FBI's cybercrimes unit given the email hacking. Someone will reach out to you within a week for a formal statement. He looked up from his notes. Miss Vasquez, I want to be clear. This is serious. Your parents could face federal charges. Are you prepared for that? They stole my identity to fund my brother's business. They forged my signature. They hacked my email. They destroyed my credit right before I'm supposed to start my first job. My voice stayed steady. Yes, I'm prepared. Detective Martinez nodded slowly. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Family fraud is the hardest to prosecute because victims feel guilty. But what they did to you, this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was calculated. After I left the station, I sat in my car and called Sarah Morrison. Police report filed. Case number NH20254471. Perfect. I heard typing on her end. I'm filing the civil complaint today, requesting emergency relief credit report corrections, restraining order, preliminary injunction, preventing them from opening more accounts in your name. How long until they know I've filed? They'll be served within 48 hours. Elena, once that happens, they're going to react. Probably with anger. Definitely with lawyers. Are you somewhere safe? I'm staying with my roommate's family until my lease starts in August. Jessica's parents had insisted, had barely let me finish asking before saying yes. Good, keep it that way. Over the next 3 weeks, I built my case like I was writing a thesis. Evidence organized into categories: financial documents, correspondence, digital evidence, timeline analysis, witness statements. Professor Chen provided a formal statement. Elena reported no family financial support during her 4 years at Yale. She worked 3 jobs and maintained a 3.9 gigapascals. The idea that she would authorize debt for family businesses is inconsistent with everything I observed. Jessica's parents provided affidavits. We witnessed Elena's distress upon discovering the fraud. We saw the empty chairs at her graduation. We can confirm she had no knowledge of these accounts. I created a spreadsheet, cross-referencing every phone call from my parents with every credit inquiry. The pattern was undeniable. They only called when they needed my information. I compiled every email they'd sent over 18 months. Searched for the word credit. Found 7 emails referencing family emergencies that needed quick paperwork. All lies. Sarah subpoenaed my parents' bank records. The evidence was devastating. Every fraudulent credit card payment had come from their account for exactly 3 months. Then the payments stopped. They'd used my credit to fund Marcus, then abandoned the accounts when the balances got too high. By mid-June, we had 47 separate pieces of evidence: financial, digital, testimonial. The U.S. Attorney's Office called. They were taking the case. Federal wire fraud charges pending. Your parents will be contacted for questioning. If they lawyer up, which they probably will, this goes to pre-trial hearings. What are the chances they're charged? I asked. With this evidence? 95%. The forged signatures alone are damning. Add the email hacking, the systematic pattern, the abandoned accounts. This is textbook fraud. Jessica found me later that evening, staring at my case files spread across her bedroom floor. You okay? She asked quietly. I'm about to destroy my family, I said. No, she sat beside me. They destroyed themselves. You're just making sure everyone knows what they did. Sarah called the next morning. They've been served. Both lawsuits, criminal and civil. And Elena? She paused. Your mother tried to call me. 7 times. Left voicemails saying, this is a family misunderstanding, and begging me to make you drop the charges. What did you tell her? I told her to stop calling my office and get a lawyer, which she did. They retained some local defense attorney. He's already trying to negotiate. Negotiate what? Exactly. Sarah's voice held grim satisfaction. We have them cornered. They know it. Now we wait for them to make their next move. The next move came 3 days later. Marcus posted on Instagram, A long caption about family betrayal and ungrateful siblings and legal threats over misunderstandings. He'd made one critical mistake. He'd posted it publicly, with comments enabled. Within hours, dozens of people, Yale alumni, family friends, even distant relatives had seen my evidence. Jessica had quietly shared the truth with a few people. Word had spread. The comments section became a war zone. Your sister documented 18 months of fraud. That's not a misunderstanding. You stole her identity and now you're playing victim? Disgusting. I knew Elena at Yale. She worked 3 jobs while you lived off your parents. And now, this? Marcus deleted the post within 6 hours. But the internet remembers everything. Screenshots lived forever. And my case just got stronger. The email arrived from Yale Alumni Association in mid-July. First year out reunion, August 12th. Celebrate your journey with classmates and families. Drinks, dinner, networking. Bring your biggest supporters. I stared at that last line. Bring your biggest supporters. An idea formed. Dark, perfect, irreversible. I called Sarah Morrison. The alumni reunion. 200 people. Public venue. Yale Commons. My voice was steady. I want to confront them there. Silence on the line. Then, Elena, are you sure? That's nuclear. They ghosted my graduation publicly. I'm exposing their fraud publicly. Fair trade. If you do this, there's no going back. Your family will. My family is already gone. They made sure of that. I looked at the evidence folder on my desk, now 4 inches thick. I have everything. Documents, witnesses, legal backing. I want them to feel what I felt standing in front of those empty chairs. Another pause. Okay, let's make it airtight. I registered 2 guest tickets, Robert and Linda Vasquez. Sent them a formal invitation through Marcus's email. He'd never suspect I had access to his account. Jessica had helped me with that particular piece of reconnaissance. The invitation read, Surprise opportunity for Marcus. Yale Alumni Networking Event. Business connections. Free dinner. Please come as my guests to support Marcus's new venture. They wouldn't be able to resist. Free meal, networking, a chance to parade Marcus in front of Yale graduates. They RSVP'd within 3 hours. Over the next 3 weeks, I prepared like I was defending a dissertation. Evidence organized into a presentation folder. Timeline, bank statements, forged signatures, email hacks, police report, legal filings, all tabbed, all indexed. Jessica helped me rehearse the speech. 15 minutes. Every word counted. Professor Chen agreed to attend as witness and support. Sarah Morrison would be there with backup documentation. I bought a navy blue dress. Yale colors, armor disguised as celebration. Are you scared? Jessica asked the night before. Terrified, I admitted. But I'm more angry than scared. And anger is useful. They're going to try to make you look like the villain. Let them try. I closed the evidence folder. I have 18 months of receipts. Literally. That night, I barely slept. I kept rehearsing the moment. The reveal. The look on their faces. By morning, I felt ready. This was justice. Public. Documented. Irreversible. Exactly what they'd done to me. The morning of August 12th arrived with the same kind of sunlight as graduation day. I woke at 6 a.m., checked my phone. A text from Marcus, sent at midnight. Mom and Dad are excited about tomorrow. Thanks for the invite. This means a lot. Tomorrow. He'd written tomorrow, which meant today. They were coming today. I showed the text to Jessica. He has no idea. Good. Her voice was steel. Keep it that way. My phone buzzed again. Mom's number. A number I hadn't blocked because Sarah wanted me to document any contact. Hi, sweetie. We're leaving Houston now. Should arrive by 1 p.m. Where should we meet you? Sweetie. She hadn't called me that in years. I texted back. Yale Commons. Event starts at 2 p.m. See you there. Professional. Neutral. The hours crawled by. I got ready slowly. Navy dress. Pearl earrings, graduation gift from Professor Chen. Hair pulled back. Makeup minimal. I needed to look credible. Professional. Unshakable. Jessica watched me apply lipstick. You look like you're going to court. I am, I said. Just without the judge. By noon, Professor Chen texted, I'm here early. Sarah's meeting me. We're securing good positions. By 1 p.m., I was dressed and pacing. By 1:30 p.m., Jessica and I left for Yale Commons. The venue was beautiful. Long tables with white tablecloths, string lights overhead, a small stage for speeches. Alumni were already arriving, graduates in cocktail dresses and suits, parents beaming with pride. The pride that should have been mine on graduation day. I checked in at the registration table. The coordinator smiled. Elena Vasquez, summa cum laude, right? Congratulations. Are your guests here yet? Not yet. I forced a smile. They're coming. I found Professor Chen and Sarah at a table near the stage. They'd positioned themselves strategically close enough to support, far enough to observe. How are you feeling? Professor Chen asked. Like I'm about to blow up my life. You're about to take it back, Sarah corrected. There's a difference. At 1:55 p.m., I saw them. Mom, Dad, Marcus. Walking into Yale Commons like they belonged there. Mom in a floral dress. Dad in a polo shirt. Marcus in an ill-fitting blazer, looking around at the Yale graduates like he was scouting business opportunities. They looked happy, relaxed, completely unsuspecting. Mom spotted me, waved, started walking over. My heart hammered against my ribs. Elena. She reached for a hug. I stepped back. Hi, Mom. Her smile faltered slightly. You look nice. This is quite the event. Marcus is so excited about the networking opportunities. Marcus grinned. Yeah, thanks for setting this up, sis. Really cool of you. Dad nodded. Didn't speak. Never did, unless he had something critical to say. The event starts in a few minutes, I said. You should find seats. Aren't you sitting with us? Mom asked. I have to give a speech. Not a lie. I'll see you after. They moved toward seats in the third row. Center section. Almost exactly where their empty chairs had been on graduation day. Poetic. At 2 p.m., the event coordinator took the stage. Welcomed everyone. Started the program with a few remarks about the graduating class's achievements. Then she looked at her notes. We have a few graduates who'd like to share their Yale journeys. First up, Elena Vasquez, summa cum laude, economics major. Elena? I stood. 215 people turned to look at me, including my parents. I walked to the stage, evidence folder in hand, and faced the crowd. This was it. I stand at the microphone. The room settles into expectant silence. 215 people, alumni, families, faculty. My parents in row 3, smiling, proud, finally. About to have that ripped away. Thank you for having me. My voice is steady. I want to talk about my Yale journey. But first, I need to introduce someone. I gesture toward my parents. My parents, Robert and Linda Vasquez. And my brother, Marcus. They're here today. Mom beams, waves slightly. Dad sits straighter. They weren't at my graduation in May. Pause. Let that land. But they were in New Haven, 10 minutes from campus, celebrating my brother's business launch at the Anchor restaurant. The smiles freeze. Mom's hand drops. I see confusion ripple through the crowd. I pull out my phone. Project Marcus's Instagram post onto the screen behind me. Thank you, tech-savvy event coordinator. Here's the proof. Posted at 10:23 a.m. on May 21st. While I walked across the stage at Woolsey Hall. Alone. Gasps. Whispers. 200 people seeing the evidence. Mom half stands. Elena, honey, this isn't the time. Sit down, Mom. My voice cuts. I'm not finished. She sits, Shock on her face. I've never spoken to her like this, never had evidence she couldn't deny. I spent 4 years at Yale. Full scholarship, worked 3 jobs, graduated summa cum laude. My parents gave me zero financial support. Which is fine. I survived. I opened the evidence folder. What's not fine is that they stole from me. Silence. Complete silence. Over 18 months, my junior and senior years, my parents opened 3 credit cards in my name. They forged my signature. They hacked my email to hide the statements. They charged $34,200 to fund my brother's business. The number echoes. Mom's face drains white. Dad's jaw clenches. Marcus looks confused, then horrified. I hold up bank statements. Capital One. $8,450. Opened September 18th after my mother called crying about a fake grandmother emergency. I flip to the next document. Chase Sapphire. $12,200. Opened January 12th after my father lied about my mother needing surgery. Another document. Discover Card. $13,550. Opened February 28th after my brother asked me for a reference. Turns out he needed more than a reference. I look directly at Marcus. He's shaking his head, but his face tells another story. He knew. Every single charge went to Marcus's business, equipment, marketing, rent deposits. My parents used my identity to fund his 4th failed venture. Professor Chen stands in solidarity. Sarah Morrison nods. Jessica's parents, seated nearby, look furious on my behalf. Dad finally speaks. You're taking this out of context. We were trying to help the family. By destroying my credit? My voice rises. By forging legal documents? By committing federal wire fraud? That phrase, federal wire fraud, hits like a bomb. I filed a police report. Case number NH20254471. The U.S. Attorney's Office is prosecuting. My lawyer filed civil charges. You'll be served formally next week, but I wanted you to hear it from me first. Mom's crying now. We can explain. It was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? I'm not yelling. Don't need to. The microphone carries every word. You hacked my email. You set up filters so I wouldn't see the bills. You planned this. For 18 months, you lied every time you called me. The only time you contacted me was when you needed my information to commit more fraud. I hold up my phone records. 23 calls over 18 months. Every single one within 72 hours of a new credit inquiry. Alumni around them are standing, moving away. Creating distance between themselves and my parents like fraud is contagious. Marcus tries. Elena, I didn't know they were using your... You knew. I cut him off. Every dollar went to your business. You posted about it on Instagram. You texted me thank you messages for being supportive of your ventures. You knew exactly where that money came from. I pull out the final piece of evidence. The receipt from the Anchor restaurant, May 20th. They used my stolen credit card to pay for the brunch celebrating you. While I graduated alone, they charged their betrayal to my account. The room erupts. Not chaos, worse, unified anger toward my parents. An alumni mother stands. You should be ashamed of yourselves. A father shouts, stealing from your own daughter? A professor I recognize from the economics department. This is criminal. Literally criminal. Mom tries to stand, to leave. Alumni block the aisles, not physically restraining, just standing. Witnessing, judging. I worked 3 jobs, I say into the microphone, quieting the crowd. I chose between textbooks and groceries. I graduated with 0 debt and a job at Goldman Sachs. I did it completely alone because my family was too busy stealing from me to support me. Dad's face is red. Furious. You're making a scene. This is family business. No. I lean into the microphone. This is federal business. This is fraud. This is 18 months of systematic theft. Documented by police. Prosecuted by lawyers. and witnessed by everyone here. I closed the evidence folder. I graduated from Yale. I survived you. And now everyone knows exactly who you are. I step away from the microphone. The room is silent for 3 seconds. Then applause. Slow at first. Professor Chen, Sarah Morrison, Jessica's parents. Then spreading. Alumni standing, clapping. Families who'd watched their own children graduate with support, angry on behalf of the one who had none. 200 people applauding while my parents sit frozen, exposed, surrounded by witnesses to their crimes. I walk off the stage. Jessica meets me, hugs me. I'm shaking but standing. Behind me, I hear my mother's voice, desperate. Please, let us explain. No one's listening. The alumni coordinator is calling security. Sarah Morrison is handing out her business card. If you witness this, I may need statements. My father grabs Marcus's arm. They try to leave. Alumni film them walking out. The evidence living forever in dozens of phones. As they reach the exit, Mom turns back, looks at me across the room. I hold her gaze. Don't flinch, don't cry. She looks away first. They leave. Quickly. Humiliated. And I'm still standing. Surrounded by people who believe me, who saw the evidence, who know the truth. Justice isn't always a courtroom. Sometimes it's a microphone, evidence, and 200 witnesses. 63 texts in the first hour. Alumni I barely knew. That was the bravest thing I've ever seen. Distant relatives. We always knew something was wrong with Linda and Robert. Mom called 17 times. Blocked. Dad texted once. You've made a terrible mistake. I showed it to Sarah Morrison. She screenshot it. Evidence of intimidation. This helps us. Marcus posted on Instagram again, then deleted his entire account within 2 hours. Too late. Screenshots lived forever. That night, Jessica's parents opened wine. Professor Chen came over. We didn't celebrate, it didn't feel like celebration, but we breathed, exhaled months of tension. What happens now? I asked Sarah. Now? They panic, they scramble, they realize everyone knows. She smiled grimly. And we finish this legally. By morning, the video had spread. Someone had filmed my speech. 30,000 views across alumni networks. My parents' church friends were calling them. Their neighbors. Dad's co-workers. The exposure was just beginning. The legal process moved like a glacier slow, inexorable, crushing everything in its path. August through October. The investigation. Detective Martinez called 3 days after the reunion. Miss Vasquez, the video helped. The U.S. attorney fast-tracked your case given the public evidence and witness testimony. He paused. Your parents have been contacted for questioning. They've retained a defense attorney. What does that mean for the case? It means they're scared. Good, they should be. The FBI's cybercrimes unit subpoenaed my parents' computers, found the email hack evidence, login timestamps, IP addresses, the filters they'd created. Digital fingerprints everywhere. Sarah filed an emergency motion for credit report corrections. Within 2 weeks, all 3 fraudulent accounts were flagged as identity theft. My credit score began its slow climb back. But my parents weren't done fighting. Their lawyer, a local attorney named Robert Chen, no relation to Professor Chen, thankfully, issued a statement in late September. The Vasquez family matter is a tragic misunderstanding between parents and their adult daughter. Robert and Linda believed they had verbal permission for financial arrangements to help family business ventures. They deeply regret the miscommunication and pain caused. Miscommunication. That word made my blood boil. Sarah's response was surgical. 18 months of systematic fraud, forged signatures on legal documents, and computer hacking don't constitute miscommunication. These are federal crimes with documented evidence, witness testimony, and a clear pattern of deception. November. The plea deal. I got the call the week before Thanksgiving. They're offering a plea deal, Sarah said. The U.S. attorney thinks it's solid. What are the terms? Your mother pleads guilty to 1 count of identity theft, 1 count of wire fraud. 18 months supervised probation, $34,200 in restitution, paid over 3 years. Mandatory financial counseling. Your father pleads to accessory charges, 12 months probation, joint responsibility for restitution. My hands shook. They're admitting guilt? Yes. Their lawyer knows they'd lose at trial. The evidence is overwhelming. This way, they avoid prison time. What about Marcus? He's not being charged criminally, he didn't forge anything or hack your email. But you can pursue him in civil court for unjust enrichment, since he benefited from the fraud. I thought about it for 3 days. Part of me wanted the trial, wanted them in front of a judge, evidence displayed, jury delivering guilty verdicts. But another part wanted it over. Wanted to move forward without months more of court dates and testimony. Accept the deal, I told Sarah. But I want the 5-year restraining order. Non-negotiable. Done. The plea hearing was December 3rd. Federal Courthouse, Judge Patricia Williams presiding. I sat in the gallery with Professor Chen, watched my parents enter with their lawyer. Mom looked smaller somehow. Dad looked angry. They didn't look at me. Judge Williams read the charges. Asked if they understood the plea agreement. Both said yes. Voices barely audible. Do you enter this plea freely and voluntarily? Yes, Your Honor. Mom's voice cracked. Yes. Dad's was flat, defeated. The judge accepted the pleas, entered judgment, outlined the terms, probation, restitution, financial counseling. Then she looked directly at my parents. Let me be clear. Identity theft against one's own child is particularly egregious. You violated trust, forged legal documents, and damaged your daughter's financial future to fund questionable business ventures. The only reason you're not facing prison time is because Miss Vasquez agreed to this plea arrangement. I hope you understand the magnitude of mercy you've been shown. Mom sobbed. Dad stared straight ahead. Judge Williams turned to me. Miss Vasquez, do you wish to make a statement? I stood, walked to the microphone Sarah had told me would be there. Looked at my parents for the first time in months. You stole my identity. You forged my name. You hacked my accounts. You ghosted my graduation because you couldn't face what you'd done. My voice was steady. But what hurts most isn't the money. It's that you called me 23 times in 18 months, and every single call was a lie. You only contacted me when you needed something to steal. Mom's lawyer touched her arm, stopping her from responding. I'm accepting this plea deal because I want to move forward. But make no mistake, you are not my family anymore. You lost that, right when you chose fraud over honesty, Marcus over me, and lies over love. I returned to my seat. Judge Williams granted the 5-year restraining order immediately. As we left the courthouse, Dad tried to approach. Security stopped him, restraining order already in effect. He shouted across the lobby. You destroyed this family! I didn't turn around, just kept walking. Behind me, I heard Sarah's voice, cold and clear. No. You did that yourselves. The family fracture. By Christmas, the fault lines were complete. My side. Aunt Rosa, Mom's sister, horrified by what her sister had done. Cousin Miguel, maternal grandmother, who moved to assisted living with my financial help. Real help. Not stolen credit. Their side. Marcus until he realized Mom and Dad were broke and couldn't fund him anymore. Then he disappeared too, Dad's brother. A handful of cousins who believed the misunderstanding narrative. Neutral, lost. Uncle David enabler who kept saying family should forgive. Several cousins who didn't want to take sides. I spent Thanksgiving with Jessica's family, Christmas with Aunt Rosa, and 12 other relatives who'd quietly reached out after the reunion video spread. Aunt Rosa hugged me for a full minute. I'm so sorry I didn't see it sooner. The favoritism, the way they treated you. You see it now, I said. That's what matters. The community consequences were severe. Dad was fired from his 20-year engineering job. Background check revealed the fraud conviction. Mom lost her position at the church's women's ministry. Turns out stealing from your daughter doesn't play well with religious communities. They'd listed their house for sale in January. Couldn't afford the mortgage between legal fees, restitution payments, and Dad's job loss. Marcus's business collapsed within 3 months. Without parental funding, he had nothing. Last I heard, he was working retail. I felt no satisfaction in their downfall, just relief that it was over. And slowly, carefully, the beginning of something like peace. It's been 3 years since that alumni reunion. I'm 25 now, sitting in my Brooklyn apartment, 1 bedroom, exposed brick, a view of the park I never dreamed I'd afford. The space is mine. Paid for with money I earned, credit I rebuilt, a future I claimed back. The financial recovery. My credit score, 785. Up from 580. It took 18 months of disputes, documentation, and patience. But every fraudulent account is marked closed due to identity theft. Every late payment erased. Every forged signature proven false. The restitution, $34,200 paid in full last month. 3 years of monthly payments garnished from my parents' wages. Every dollar deposited into an account I immediately transferred to savings. That money sits untouched. Blood money, guilt money. I'll donate it eventually to a scholarship fund for first-generation college students. Turn their theft into someone else's opportunity. My savings, $28,000. A 6-month emergency fund plus cushion. I know what financial insecurity feels like. I'll never feel it again. My apartment, lease, signed with my own excellent credit. No co-signer, no help, just me and a lease agreement that felt like a diploma. The career success. Goldman Sachs promoted me twice. I'm an associate now. $140,000 salary, working on portfolio strategy for institutional clients. My economics degree from Yale opened doors. My work ethic, 3 jobs, full course load, perfect grades despite family chaos kept them open. Last month, I spoke at a Yale alumni panel. Succeeding without family support. 50 students attended. 7 came up afterward crying, saying, "That's my story too." I gave them Sarah Morrison's card. Told them documentation matters. That blood doesn't excuse crime. The relationships rebuilt. Aunt Rosa and I talk weekly. She's become the mother figure I needed calls to check in. Remembers my work deadlines. Celebrates my wins. Grandmother Rosa, yes. We're both Rosa. Family names, lives in a nice assisted living facility 30 minutes from my apartment. I visit every Sunday. Bring pastries. Listen to her stories. She told me once, "Your mother made her choices. You made yours. I'm proud of which path you chose." Professor Chen and I have lunch quarterly. She's my mentor, my reference, my reminder that some people see your potential even when family doesn't. Jessica and I are still close. She's in Boston, marketing career, engaged. I'm the maid of honor. Her parents still text me on holidays. I'm dating someone met through work, stable job, functional family, no red flags. It's slow. Trust doesn't come easy after your parents steal your identity, but I'm trying. Therapy helps. Weekly sessions for 2 years, now monthly. Unpacking family trauma. Rebuilding trust patterns. Learning that I deserved better. The current status. My parents and I haven't spoken in 3 years. The restraining order expired last year. I didn't renew it. Don't need to. They haven't tried to contact me. I heard through Aunt Rosa that they divorced. The fraud destroyed their marriage, turned out. Dad blamed Mom blamed Dad. Neither took responsibility. They sold the house, split the proceeds, went separate ways. Dad lives in a small apartment, works warehouse shifts, pays his half of restitution from wages barely above minimum. Mom moved in with Marcus. He's still unemployed, still chasing business dreams that never materialize. They enable each other. I feel nothing about their situations. Not satisfaction, not pity, nothing. They're strangers who committed crimes against me. The law handled it. I moved on. Marcus tried to reach out once a Facebook message 2 years ago. Can we talk? I want to explain. I never responded. Block was sufficient. The hard truth. Some families can't be fixed, and that's okay. For years, I thought something was wrong with me. That if I achieved enough, worked hard enough, proved myself enough, they'd finally see my worth. The Yale acceptance, the perfect grades, the Goldman Sachs offer, none of it mattered. Because the problem was never me, it was them. They chose favoritism. They chose fraud. They chose everything except honesty and love. And I chose to walk away. The new beginning. I'm building something different now. Chosen family, people who show up, who celebrate wins without resentment, who support without stealing. Last week, I got a promotion. Called Aunt Rosa first. She cried happy tears. Called Professor Chen second. She said, I always knew you'd thrive. Called Jessica third. She screamed so loud her fiancé thought something was wrong. Not one of them asked if I'd told my parents. They know better. This life, this apartment, this career, this peace, I built it from scratch. No family money. No parental support. Just scholarships, work ethic, and stubborn determination to prove that success doesn't require family approval. I succeeded despite them, and honestly, that's better than succeeding because of them. Because everything I have, I earned. Every victory is completely mine. Looking forward. Sometimes people ask if I regret exposing them publicly, if I wish I'd handled it privately. No. Not once. They humiliated me publicly, ghosting my graduation while celebrating Marcus 10 minutes away. I exposed them publicly with evidence and witnesses. Fair trade. That Yale reunion changed everything, not just for me, for the 7 students who reached out with similar stories, for the alumni who shared their own family estrangement journeys, for everyone who saw that video and realized, family doesn't get a pass on crime. I'm not ashamed anymore. Not of my family's dysfunction, not of the fraud, not of the public confrontation. I'm proud. Of surviving, of documenting, of fighting back. And 3 years later, sitting in my Brooklyn apartment with my hard-earned peace, I know I made the right choice. Some parents deserve their children's love. Mine deserved a restraining order and federal charges. I gave them what they earned. And now I'm giving myself what I deserve. A life without them. If you're facing family financial abuse or identity theft, document everything. Screenshots, bank statements, emails, timestamps. Evidence saves lives. You're not obligated to forgive family members who commit crimes against you. Blood doesn't excuse fraud. DNA doesn't justify theft. And if anyone tells you, but they're family, remember, real family doesn't steal your identity to fund your sibling's 4th failed business while ghosting your college graduation. Set boundaries, press charges if needed, build your own life. You deserve better than people who only call when they need something to steal. This is Achiever Betrayed. Subscribe for more stories of people who fought back against family betrayal and won. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't forgiveness. It's evidence, witnesses, and a restraining order. Thanks for listening.